he's doing another video. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So I've had a bit of a download today to do with orgone, which I'll talk about in a sec. For some reason I wanted to come home last night and someone set like a booby trap up. So I live in a little block of flats and the corridor was darkened out to the stairwell, and someone whacked the nose of the stairs off. That's like the rubber end bit of it. So they lifted it up, and so it's like a trip hazard. So anybody going up the stairs, trodden it, would probably fall over or fall forward or something like that. And had one of my neighbours, I had loud music most of the bloody night. Didn't really affect me too much because it's not directly in my path sort of thing. Got a bloody lorry or something flying down the road. So whether somebody had set the booby trap, put the loud music on, he irritates neighbours. The idea neighbours comes up the stairs, he trips over, and when they knock on the door it goes all quiet, and he's injured himself, and they find it funny. I don't know. There's some quite twisted people, and they might turn around and say, hey, it's mental health, I've got mental health problems, you know, I suffer from depression and stuff. Maybe they're depressed not because they had hard life, it's because they're acting in a way that's deplorable, basically. I mean, they basically think it's okay to be evil, and they're wondering why it's not working out for them. You know, it's basically a family that's had years of abuse in its own community, and seem to think that's cleverness, or that's being normal or something. It just seems like, well, it worked in the short term, but in the long term you end up alone, you end up isolated, you won't have any finances or support. You know, because you can only act like somebody younger for so long, and then it's just going to backfire. It's just the way life is. So, you know, it's not to be a bitch, it's just the way reality is. If you're not learning new lessons as you go along, you're not learning at all, and so you're not really living either. Life is learning, life is loving, life is living. There we go, you've heard it of Pixie yourself. So I had a download into my consciousness, and it basically involves using orgone, but it's going to make a kind of like a cyber-orgone. It's going to be a lot higher, more complicated to make actually. It's going to use more geometric shapes hidden within inside the resin sculpture itself, because there's a few ways you can increase energy in something, and one is kind of like, I guess the word I use is patternology. So you put different patterns in there and sequences, and that kind of fuses in a circuit, and then the circuit builds up a current. It's a bit like why you put a solenoid with a crystal, and that's on that principle of increasing a flux field or something. So I'm going to have to look at some engineering. I'm going to have to study electronics, and it could be really interesting. I mean, I've all got the system setting it up in my head's already there. I was kind of seeing this kind of not like a cube that was a part circuit board. Sometimes you see these things in like sci-fi, you must have been a cartoon. They have an artifact, and it's part resin, it's got part electronics in it, and all sorts of things. So it's kind of going down that avenue, and it means also building it up in layers. And you really need to have the clear acrylic, because it just would block out all the light in there. And I mean, basically orgone acts as like a buffer or filter, and it's a bit like muffling sound. You're only letting certain frequencies out of it, and so the idea, you make it quite a natural material, and the only way that energy gets kind of stuck in it like a trap is the only way it's released is when it changes its hertz and energy dynamics, I guess. So it acts as that sort of filter, and also using crystals, like capacitors, I think, or something like that. So I need to look at all this stuff to make more sense of it. but the shape and image and stuff was in my mind. I could see something else, some other being, looks like you're using something. So it's like 3D technology. You know, most circuit boards are actually built two-dimensional in the sort of layout, but to make a three-dimensional one is a bit more complicated. It's like playing three-dimensional chess over two-dimensional chess, because you put it on layers, but this upper board and lower board can interact as well, so it creates something else, and also it's made it to the actual shape, so you have to build up the shape and add features onto it. I just have to see really, because some of it could be, you know, you can actually run a current through it. It's even more powerful organ if you've got a network of circuits that build up a certain frequency charge, and also have a function outside of just having this kind of spiritual artifact, ornamental, whatever, a combination of different things. Because there's also this kind of psychological bond, like the feng shui of the environment with your objects around you, and having that relationship with your environment. That's why psychotherapists say you want to sort your head out, sort your house out, sort of that sort of thing. And it's simple things as well. The other thing I'm going to do is research into honey. I get some information from different things on the internet. I don't think it's good enough. So I just need to get a good quality honey. I'll go back and get some down and just eat loads of it and see what happens. I was wondering if you can go on a honey fast and just eat loads of honey. But I'd have to be not working, just eat like a few pots of honey and see what happens to me. That'd be it, just eat the honey all day. Because the thing is about putting on weight is the combination of fats and carbohydrates. I mean, probably protein, it can get converted into other sorts of carbohydrates in the body. But if you open up your, so you raise your insulin, but you don't end up putting loads of fats and other things in there, complicated sugars, basically allows your cells to detox themselves and put in a good sugar. So if you've got like a high level fructose combination in honey, that's different. But they talk about like, oh well, honey's like sugar, and the Heart Association just says, well, the Heart Association is very basic and it's driven by industry, by the appearance of it. They talk about grains and taking things for you that maybe would cause inflammatory issues in some people. So I mean, I'm not saying discredit a health advisor. I wouldn't say necessarily professionals. Professionals sort of suggested a large array of experience, and it may be not. They could have just come out and done a sort of bachelor's degree in whatever, and then start saying, well, I'm a professional, well, you have to listen to my advice. And you know, it's like lockdown surgery. Would you take advice if someone said, oh well, what you need to do is take a scalpel, run it across here, and then remove the fat, and then stitch it back up again? I mean, if someone said something like that, you'd think, what the hell, I'm not going to cut myself open. They say, oh, but I'm a professional, it's okay. So that wouldn't be a very good deal. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to buy some honey today. I'll probably buy some eggs. So I'll try to get eggs, honey, and improve on that. Because I had something and it felt like it's my liver, but I might have strained myself. I was using a chin-up bar, sort of like, basically it's like I was falling, supporting my arms and pulling myself up. So it's as if almost like a rock climber sort of thing, you know. It's kind of trying to use the back to pull it up, and the back muscle, so it's lats are involved, and deltoids and all sorts of things. It's not really focused on the lower body, so I don't know, just to work with it really. Just do your best. But the image is quite interesting of this project, and it could be, I mean, it could be made. You could end up making like a picture orgone as well. So you got kind of like, rather than triangular, you got it laid out flat, and then it's basically about the shapes increasing the density. Because the alternative way is to make something which is use the word orgone and meteorite, and some people use, but you'll probably get banned for using it. or get blocked or something. And it's just basically a filtration system between two different positive and negative ion constructs or something like that. Anyway, it's a big sign off. Have a great one and speak to you soon. Bye.